but since most of us, not all of us, are single and we do have like partners right now, what like I feel like sex is kind of the go-to for most couples to stay busy, especially if you don't have children. You're like trying to keep yourself occupied. What if we've reached that point where we've had sex like 4 times every day for the past 25 days and we're like, okay, how do I tell my partner I'm not this horny anymore?
Well, okay, so I'm hearing that there's kind of two-part question. Well, I actually made up a second part of the question. One is that how do I tell them, hey, I'm not as horny as I was before? And the second part I just made up that I think is really important is what I am seeing, or what April and I are seeing, both in, I do sex and relationship coaching. We're seeing this, and also in our listeners sharing this, and friends. They're running out of things to talk about with their partners. There's a single folks who are like, quarantine is really hard because I'm lonely. I want touch. I want connection. And then there's, and not all single folks feel that way. And then there's the partnered folks there's some that are really stoked. Thank God I have a partner during this time. And there's a lot that are like, I'm going crazy. So either they're going crazy because they don't have a lot of personal space maybe their house is small, or even if their house isn't that small, they're like, I just don't have my escape. Work was my escape, or, I was hanging out with friends in social environments. And what I'm also seeing is that a lot of people aren't experiencing newness, right? So things have become a little like, all right, same thing. I wake up, I have my coffee, maybe I meditate, I go to a Zoom call online, I do my workout. And so when you're doing the same thing all the time, you don't have a lot of new things to share with your partner to be like, hey, here's something cool and exciting that I learned or that I saw today. So this is one thing that I'm seeing is kind of common. So I think this speaks to desire, to the desire to want to fuck your partner. You need newness. You need things to connect on. It isn't just about sex. It's just about feeling like we have something kind of hot and spicy to talk about. And it doesn't have to be sex again, but it can be like, I listened to a podcast. Here's what I learned, or I read this new book, or I had this conversation with someone over Zoom. And so my advice to folks is to, whether during quarantine or not in quarantine, to continue to do the work to create newness in your life, whether single or partnered. Like, you need it as an individual too, but to keep that fire burning in your relationship, you need to create ways to have newness in your life. And also, because that creates mystery, you also need your own space. Like, that's part of what Esther Perel talks about in the individuation versus the overly attachment thing that happens to people. Like, right now, people are kind of like overly attached often if they're just like hiding out in the same home. And so they need to still have personal time to connect with them, and then it will make them more excited to go back to their partners. So that's one thing that I wanted to share about that. And two, how do you share that with your partner? Maybe not to say, hey, I'm not horny anymore, I don't want to fuck you anymore, not like that, but so you can share, like April and I talk about sharing vulnerably and using nonviolent communication. We're big fans of sharing what's good first. So like, hey, I really love you, and there's parts of this quarantine I am loving, like we're about spending time with you, and we're getting a lot more time. And not the word but, 'cause no one follows but unless it's for anal. And here's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like a little less desire here because there's so much access here to you and us, or because I don't have a lot of personal space, and it's not because I don't love you. And here's what I'm desiring or needing. So how can we work together to create that space? Is it that you go for a walk for, an hour or two, and I get the house to myself, or I do the same, or that, I get, when I'm in this room, I put a do not disturb sign, and you leave me some space.
Leave me alone.
And self-pleasure practices can be a part of that. You can have that conversation and say, okay, I realize we share the same bed and we're often together, but I know I still need this space. So maybe I can have the bedroom to myself for an hour, like every Tuesday and Thursday, or maybe every day of the week. I don't know. But it's just having a loving conversation about it.
The shit sandwich, Amy, or the compliment sandwich. That's how you serve it up. It's like the information's in the middle. That's what I call it, the shit sandwich.
I love that.